Hi, what is up, you guys? I am Vincent, back at it again with another video. Um, this is actually the fourth time that I have started recording this because, I'll get halfway through the video, and then I'll stop, and I'll be like, what am I supposed to say? Like, what do I do? What do I say? But I'm not going to do that anymore. Welcome back to another video. Um, I've been wanting to post this for about, a month, and I've been saying that I want to post this video for a month. Um, and this is the soon-to-be hydrogen horror video. Now, by the time that you see this, I will have put the description in there, and I will have put the title in the YouTube video, and you will see it probably in the next hour or so, because it's around 3:20 right now, so you'll probably see it around 4. But today's video is going to focus on the people who built this airship, the name of the airship, the political party behind this airship, and the eventual disaster. Now, first thing I want to get out of the way is that if you are sensitive to a certain political party, and I'm sorry that I paused for a minute there, just trying to figure out my words because I'm kind of not nervous, but just kind of wondering, like, what do I say next, But if you are sensitive to a certain political party that lasted from 1939 to 1945, don't watch this video. If you are sensitive to a person to a person with the initials A and H, don't watch this video. If you are sensitive to any World War II topics or any politics, don't watch this video because I know how the world works. I'm 16. I know how the world works. And I know that a lot of people are going to get triggered when you see this man's photo in here. Now I'm not going to explicitly say who this man is, but you will see him, and I will say his name as we get further into the video. But if you are sensitive to any of the stuff that I have mentioned previously, don't watch this video. But today's video is going to focus on the Hindenburg and what happened to it, who built it, all of that stuff. So I guess we'll get started with the first screenshot here. So this guy right here is Ludwig Durr. He was the chairman, the spokesperson, the main boss for this company right here. He was the boss for Luft, for the Luft, can't speak today, for the Luft Zeppelin company. Now, this company built Zeppelins for World War One and World War Two, like the very beginning of World War Two, but they had to stop due to a very unfortunate incident in the 30s. Now, this guy was the man who designed the Hindenburg, who designed all of her sister airships, and he was just kind of the brains of the whole operation behind the company and everything. So while the airships were up in the air, traveling, I want to say, majestically through the air, he was the guy planning everything. He was the guy building the airships. He was the guy designing them. He was the guy behind the closed doors that would build these magnificent ships like the Hindenburg and the Graf Zeppelin, which you can actually see a picture of. I don't have it on here, but you can look it up. Look up Graf Zeppelin on Google, and you can find a picture of it pretty easy. This next guy is Max Pruss. Now, I want to warn you, I will be showing you guys some images of him after the disaster. Now, he did survive. I will be showing you some images of him after the disaster and a picture of one of the survivors during the immediate aftermath of the disaster. And like I've said before, if you are sensitive to any of these topics, I encourage you to click off of this video now. But besides that, this man's name is Max Pruss, and you can see it down at the bottom near this Hindenburg wiki link. His name was Max Pruss. He was the captain of the Hindenburg during its ill-fated voyage to Lakehurst, and he hadn't commanded the Hindenburg up to its disaster. When he commanded the Hindenburg, this was the first time that he had commanded that specific airship during its disaster. So this was his first time on the Hindenburg, and it was his last because it crashed, unfortunately. But like I said earlier, he did survive the disaster, but he was disfigured for the rest of his life. The burns that he sustained during the voyage, during the explosion, were so bad that he was disfigured for the rest of his life, and he greatly despised Zeppelins, fearing that what happened with the Hindenburg would happen again. So he greatly despised Zeppelins after the disaster, and he never wanted to fly on one again. He never got to fly on one again because they shut down the program after the Hindenburg. About, I want to say, 6 months after the Hindenburg disaster, they closed down the Zeppelin operations in Germany, and they never flew them again. And then I guess we're going to move on to the next slide. So this next slide is the logo for the Zeppelin company that built the Hindenburg and other ships, other airships during World War One. Now, during World War One, Zeppelins were a very common sight, and they were a very great threat to the British people. Now, these Zeppelins were mainly used to drop bombs on different targets, and these things were huge. Like, they were ginormous, and because of their size, they had like these little dinky guns that they could use in the gondolas, and that was pretty much their only protection other than fighter escort, which usually when they had fighter escort for these Zeppelins, which they would only use these on very, very, very dangerous missions, they would usually have the best of the best German Air Force pilots to escort the Zeppelins. But shortly after World War One, the German Air Force looked at these Zeppelins, and they proved too large and too cumbersome to carry out any war efforts. So they were transitioned from war duties to civilian duties, carrying passengers from Germany to America and back. But this company is the one that built the Hindenburg, the Graf Zeppelin, and they were also the company that built Zeppelins for the war effort in World War One. So that's a little bit about the company. I guess we'll move on to the next slide, and if I can go to the next slide, yes. This next slide, like I've said, if you are sensitive, click off this video now. This is my final warning. I told y'all earlier that I was going to say his name, and well, I'm going to say it in this next slide, so brace yourselves, okay? This man right here that you see, you probably know him. You probably know him from your history classes, or from your past high school history classes if you've already taken high school. But this man is Adolf Hitler. This man is responsible for some less than reputable things during World War II. And he was the leader of Germany from, I want to say, starting from 1930 to 1945. I don't remember when he became Chancellor of Germany, but he did rule from Germany from, I want to say, around 1930 to 1945, when he bit into a cyanide pill and he shot himself. And he shot himself at the same time to make sure that, he was dead, so to speak. But this man ruled over Germany during the Hindenburg disaster and all throughout World War II. Now, this video is about the Hindenburg. So you may be looking at this picture and wondering, why did he put this man in his video if Hitler has nothing to do with the Hindenburg, if he had no involvement in the disaster, if he wasn't even on the ship during the disaster. Well, he is the man who is indirectly responsible for the Hindenburg disaster. So, when they were building the Hindenburg, way before it even set off for Lakehurst, when they were building the Hindenburg, a couple of the German builders, even Ludwig Durr, who I spoke about earlier, he told the German Nazi Party, and he told Hitler, he was like, "We can't use hydrogen. It's too flammable. We can't use it. We've got to ask these other countries if we can use helium, because if we use hydrogen, there's a possibility of one of our Zeppelins going down, which, if you've read your history, the Hindenburg did eventually explode due to the gases that were used to keep it aloft. But Ludwig Durr and a bunch of the other builders and a bunch of the other scientists, they told the German Nazi Party and Hitler in particular that hydrogen was far too flammable to use for their airships. That if they used it, there was the possibility of the airship exploding and killing many people. Well, the only other country that had an abundance of helium, the only other country that was rich enough and powerful enough and rich enough to have an exorbitant amount of helium was the United States of America. Now, the United States of America was going through a Great Depression, and Germany knew this. They heard the news. They knew that America was going through a Great Depression, and, well, but they also knew that they had a exorbitant amount of helium. So they asked the U.S., "Hey, can we use some of your helium?" And the American people, their presidential party in particular, said, "If we give you our helium, there's the possibility of you and your crazies using it against us, using it to power your Zeppelins to launch raids on our country, on our cities, on our people. So no, we're not going to sell you the helium." So the U.S. refused to sell helium to Germany, which, as if their relationship wasn't already strained enough, because the Germans and the U.S. at the time of the disaster didn't really like each other that much. Their relationship was already strained. So, on top of this, they didn't sell helium to Germany, and Germany looked at them in this really bad light. And their relationship just grew even more tense through this interaction. So, the U.S. refuses to sell helium to Germany, and therefore Germany has to use a substitute. The way more flammable, the way more volatile, and the way more dangerous hydrogen, which, if you don't know, is really, really flammable. But this man, Hitler, is, I would say, he is partly responsible. He is partly at fault for the Hindenburg disaster. And, it might just be me and just my overall dislike for this guy, but I feel like he played some part in the Hindenburg disaster, But, yeah, that's it for this picture. I just wanted to go over why the Hindenburg didn't use helium and why it was able to go down so much more easily and faster than it would if it exploded with helium. Now, here we have a picture of the Hindenburg, which I'm using as my thumbnail, I think. Yeah, I'm using this as my thumbnail, but this is a picture of it right before it left Lakehurst. So, they were on the ground, and they're about to lift off to go to Lakehurst, New Jersey, which, when they went to Lakehurst, this would be their last and final journey to America before the Zeppelin exploded and killed all the passengers except for 7 and 2 people on the ground. And here is a picture of Lakehurst, New Jersey, the town that the Hindenburg would dock in. Now, Lakehurst, up until the Hindenburg disaster, was this small little quaint town in New Jersey. Nobody really ever talked about it. Nobody really ever went there. It was just kind of one of those towns that had this tight-knit community where everybody knew each other and everybody shared the news. Everybody had coffee together on their front porches with their neighbors and their kids and everything. It was just this quaint little town, just this really nice town to live in during that time. And I'm guessing it still is now. I'm not sure what it's like now, but it's really not famous for, just the overall town. It's more famous for the Hindenburg disaster that happened in 1937. So another thing about the Hindenburg is that the Hindenburg was captained by the very best. Was captained by the very best airship captains, and um, the Hindenburg had went through storms. This ship had gone through storms and snow, ice, wind, rain, all types of weather, day and night trips, and it never once had a problem. It was only when they went to Lakehurst did it actually have a problem and it exploded, like in the picture that you can see here. Um, but you know, um, it had gone through all of these various elements of weather, and it never really had a problem. And this was one of Germany's best airships. This was like the most luxurious, the most famous airship that they had at the time. So when it went up in flames, it really shocked both the American and the German people because they actually had some American citizens on the Hindenburg. They had an entire family of three that were all Americans on this airship. So when these Americans were killed on the Hindenburg, it soured Germany's and the United States relationship even further. It just kept straining their relationship until World War II broke out, and they actually went to war with each other. But let's talk about what happened leading up to the Hindenburg's eventual explosion. So, the Hindenburg goes up to this pole, this what looks like kind of like the Eiffel Tower. It kind of resembles the Eiffel Tower a bit, but um, it goes up to this pole, and you can see clearly that there's a line leading from the Hindenburg down to this little support beam right here. So they they're flying over Lakehurst, and Captain Pruss is actually kind of at fault for why the Hindenburg went down, because during the inquiries after they got back to Germany, Captain Pruss was blamed for making several sharp turns to the right and left as they were docking to get the ship into a better position for bringing it down to the ground, for bringing it up to this pole, for bringing it over to this little pole thingy, and letting it hover and letting that line out. So he was blamed for making several sharp turns, which might have contributed to the explosion. It might not have. But, so as they're hovering over it, so they're approaching it really, really slowly, and then they stop. And they're hovering over it. And the engines are still running, so they're hovering over it. And all of these people, all of these reporters, and these journalists, and these news reporters, and all these citizens, most of them residents of Lakehurst, are coming over to the airship to marvel at it, to watch it dock, to watch all the passengers get off. And a bunch of the reporters and the journalists are looking forward to interviewing the passengers about their experience on the ship when they eventually get off. But sadly, some of them never would make it off the Hindenburg, because they're hovering over it, and a couple of the ground crewmen down near the docking station, they run over to they start running to the Hindenburg, and um, the crew members throw this big piece of rope, that piece of rope that you can see leading from the Hindenburg to that support beam. They grab this rope, and they start reeling it down to that support beam, and they're able to tie it off, and they're able to get the Hindenburg anchored down to that docking station to be ready to be lowered down to the ground and to let all the passengers off. Well, after they got the line anchored down, um, a couple of the ground crewmen look up, and they see the back portion of the Hindenburg. Something's off about it. It looks like the wind's picking up, and it looks like this back portion of the Hindenburg, close to the tail fins, is rippling, and it looks like it's, flexing and rippling. Now, keep in mind that it's only just this back part. It's only just the back part of the Hindenburg. The rest of the fabric on the ship is just totally still. So the crewmen are looking up at the Hindenburg, watching this piece of fabric start rippling, and then this big ball of fire explodes. It just explodes, and what happened is the back gas cell. Now, the back gas cell ruptured, and when it ruptured, this fire that you see here, it went up and up. It kept going up until I got to the front, and all the fabric, after it was burned off, and it was just a hulk of the Hindenburg, it eventually settled down to the ground, and it settled down to the ground. The rest of the supports of the Hindenburg, the rest of the superstructure collapsed, and it sat there burning until the fire department was able to get there and put it out. So the Hindenburg explodes, and the crewmen on the ground obviously respond with terror, and they don't know what to do. They've already tied it down, they've already anchored it, they've already done their job, so they run as fast as they can. And two of the crewmen on the ground are not able to get away in time. So as it's coming down, as the Hindenburg is coming down, this big ball of fire rushes forward a little bit, and it engulfs these two ground crewmen and just burns them alive, just cooks them. Now, I'm sorry, I know I'm getting a bit morbid here. That's why I told y'all to kind of click off the video if y'all were sensitive to this. But it burns these two crewmen alive, and the Hindenburg eventually settles down onto the ground. And people were wondering, oh my God, did anybody make it out of there alive? Is anybody alive? Is everybody okay? And they've actually got a news reporter, which I can pull up the video after I'm done with this recording. I'm actually going to pause this, go on to YouTube, search up the video, and then we're going to watch that together. But you can hear this news reporter, and he's like, oh my gosh, the Hindenburg is so beautiful. Look at it in the daytime sky. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to interview some of these passengers. And as soon as it explodes, his mood changes. And he's like, oh my God, oh the humanity. How is anybody ever going to be able to get out of there? Did anybody make it out? And that's what everybody down on the ground was thinking. And everybody was wondering, did anybody make it out alive? Well, a couple people did. And I'm going to be showing y'all some of the pictures of these survivors after they were carried away from the wreckage, after they were taken to the hospital in Lakehurst. And I'm going to give y'all another warning. If you are sensitive to any images, go ahead and click off of this video now. But he focuses on the Hindenburg, and um, the and he records the entire thing from the initial explosion all the way down to it settling on the ground, and then the camera just cuts out from there. Now, I have another black and white. Now, that picture was just in color. This is the actual picture of the Hindenburg. Now, it's obviously going down a bit further. It's obviously sunk down a bit further, and it's going down stern first. So you can obviously just see the amount of fire that has just erupted off of this ship, and this is again the actual picture of the Hindenburg when it eventually went up in flames. And as you can see at the bottom of this, it says Live Science, Hindenburg Crash, the end of airship travel. When this airship exploded, something changed in everybody that was a part of this. Something changed in Germany. Something changed in the US. Everybody looked at Zeppelins like it was the death of them. Everybody looked at Zeppelins like we can't use these anymore. And when the Hindenburg exploded, that marked the end of airship travel as we know it. That marked the end of an era. That marked the end of airship travel for forever. At this point in time, there are no airships, and this picture is a perfect representation of why we don't have airships anymore, because of this one disaster. But this is the actual picture, like I've said like over 3 times. This is the actual picture. And this is the picture that news reporter took as he was filming that video of the Hindenburg going down in flames. Now, I'm going to take a water break. I'll see y'all later. Alright, you guys, I am back from my water break. So, let's move on to the next image. Now, this image, the image of the Hindenburg right here, is actually a heavily dramatized version of this color picture right here. And you can see the little support beam right here, is right there. So that color picture is actually a heavily dramatized version of this picture right here. And this book is actually written by one of my most favorite book authors, Lauren Tarshish. Shout out to her. I hope you see this video, Lauren, and I hope you enjoy it. But this is the I Survived the Hindenburg Disaster, 1937. I encourage you to read it because it does include some historical facts. This is actually my favorite book genre, historical fiction. It does have some, fictional characters, but the majority of the disaster, the explosion, the gas cells that are featured in the book, the technical side of it, all that's true. So I encourage you to check out this book if you have the time. Go to your local library. You can buy one at Books A Million. But I encourage you to check out this book if you can. It's really, really good. And this is a picture of 2 survivors. I don't know their names, but I can zoom in on this. I don't know their names, but that's one of the Zeppelin crew members who was on the ground at the time of the Hindenburg's docking. And he was one of the crewmen who helped do the docking procedure, do the last docking procedure for the Hindenburg. These 2 survivors, I don't know their names, but they do look a little shaken up if you can look at their faces. The woman on the left looks like she's just she's trying to comprehend what she had just seen, trying to comprehend that she had just been in a disaster that might have just killed her if she hadn't have done the right move, if she hadn't done the right move, then she would have been one of the people who would unfortunately pass away. The guy on the right is, I don't know his name, but he looks like he's talking to her. I don't know what about, but they do look a little shaken up. All right, so this next picture is of the coffins of the victims. Now, these are the coffins of the German victims. The American victims were laid to rest in caskets, and the American flag was draped over their coffins. But this is this is the picture of the German victims, and there's about 10 coffins in this picture. And you can see that there are soldiers lined up paying their condolences. You can see just the mass amount of people paying their condolences to these poor victims who lost their lives during the Hindenburg disaster. And this is a picture of one of these survivors after the disaster, after the immediate aftermath. Now, I am very fortunate that I could not find a color picture of this, because, I mean, yes, it is in black and white, but all of that black stuff on his face, on his coat, is blood. And they've got one guy over here. His hand's blurred, but he looks like he's trying to wipe it off of his face. And the guy on the far left, he's got to be a relative of that guy right there who's got all the blood on his face, because you can just see the horror on his face. Like, why are you taking a picture of him? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. Do you see the condition that he's in? And I don't think this is a look of anger of why are you taking this picture. I think it's a look of, help me, I'm scared, we both are, we don't know what's going on, we are just trying to comprehend all of this what's going on right now. But I'm very fortunate that I couldn't find a color photograph of this, and even if I did, I wouldn't feature it on this channel. It would be far too graphic to feature on this channel. But I just wanted to show you all this and just show you all pictures of the survivors after the immediate aftermath of the Hindenburg. Now, you may be looking at this guy and wondering, oh my God, who is that? Like, is that the captain or something? Because he doesn't look like the captain. But yes, this is Max Pruss, the captain of the Hindenburg. Now, if you remember earlier in the video, I said that he was disfigured for the rest of his life, and this was the result of that. He did live for a number of years after the disaster, but not only did he live with this disfigured face, he lived with the guilt of having to live with that, because he was the captain of this airship, that he felt responsible for the deaths of those people. He felt responsible that that the Hindenburg went down. And exploded. He felt responsible for everything, and he lived with that guilt until he was put 6 feet under. He lived with that guilt until he died, basically. And it's very disheartening to not only live with this disfigurement for the rest of your life, but also to live with the guilt that you killed 7, 8, 9, 10 people. I don't know how many people died on the Hindenburg, but it must have been really sad for him to know that he had to live with that for the rest of his life until he died. But that's going to be it for this video. Geez, I'm sorry that it got so dark, but I just wanted to do this video. This is going to go in the history videos playlist. So if any of y'all want to watch it, but y'all don't want to search for it, or y'all don't want to scroll through my YouTube channel, go to playlists and click on the history playlist. It should be the last one on the bottom. Alright? Tomorrow, I'll try and post something lighthearted, maybe a reaction video. On Tuesday, I'm going to be uploading a Tuesday talk that I plan on filming today. Yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I plan on filming a Tuesday talk today, uploading it on Tuesday of next week. I plan on maybe making a gameplay video again. I don't know of what game. I'm thinking Rome Total War, but y'all give me some y'all give me some suggestions out of these games. Take a minute to look at them. But y'all give me some suggestions on what games I should play. Um, and leave those down in the comments of the video. Um, but yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I will see y'all later. I love you all. Goodbye.